Ancient Japan versus Ancient Korea, Early State Formation and Cultural Development. The histories of ancient Japan and Korea are deeply intertwined, marked by periods of cultural exchange, warfare, and mutual influence. Both regions saw the emergence of centralized states and distinct cultures, shaped by indigenous traditions and external influences, particularly from China. By comparing the early state formation and cultural development of ancient Japan and Korea, we gain insights into the unique paths each civilization took to establish its identity. The formation of the Japanese state began with the Jomon period circa 14,000 to 300 BCE, characterized by hunter-gatherer societies with minimal social hierarchy. The introduction of rice agriculture during the Yayoi period, circa 300 BCE to 300 CE, revolutionized Japanese society, leading to the emergence of permanent settlements, increased social stratification, and the development of metallurgy. This period saw the rise of regional clans, or yuji, which played a critical role in local governance. In the Kofun period circa 300 to 538 CE, Japan began its transformation into a more centralized society. This era is named after the massive burial mounds, Kofun, built for the ruling elites, reflecting the consolidation of power among the emerging aristocracy. The Yamato clan rose to prominence during this time, establishing itself as the ruling dynasty that would eventually lead to the unification of much of Japan. The Yamato rulers were heavily influenced by neighboring Korea and China, adopting technologies, governance structures, and religious practices such as Buddhism, which played a crucial role in the unification process. In Korea, state formation began with the legendary kingdom of Goguryeo, founded in 2333 BCE. Although much of Goguryeo early history remains mythical, archaeological evidence supports the idea of an early centralized state. Goguryeo was eventually overthrown by the Han Dynasty of China in 108 BCE, which led to the establishment of several Chinese commanderies on the Korean peninsula, greatly influencing its political and cultural development. The subsequent Three Kingdoms period, 57 BCE, 668 CE, saw the rise of the powerful kingdoms of Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla. Each kingdom sought centralization, military expansion, and consolidation of power through internal reforms and external conquests. During this time, Korea's political structure became increasingly sophisticated, with strong centralized monarchies and bureaucratic systems inspired by Chinese governance. The cultural development of ancient Japan was significantly shaped by its interactions with China and Korea, particularly during the Kofun period. The introduction of the Chinese writing system allowed for the recording of historical events and the dissemination of Confucian ideals. However, Japan's indigenous religion, Shinto, remained deeply rooted in its culture, coexisting with imported Buddhism that arrived via Korea. Artistic developments during this period were similarly influenced by external sources. The distinctive clay figures, haniwa, that adorn the Kofun tombs are a prime example of Japan's unique art, blending indigenous and imported styles. As the Yamato clan rose to power, they laid the foundations of what would become the imperial system, centered on religious and political authority. Korea's cultural development was also heavily influenced by its proximity to China. Confucianism and Buddhism were major imports from China, profoundly shaping Korean society and governance. Korean artisans developed unique styles in pottery, architecture, and sculpture, blending Chinese influences with indigenous traditions. The iconic Korean Celadon pottery, famous for its delicate green glaze, is one of the most celebrated artistic achievements of this era. Baekje, one of the Three Kingdoms, had particularly strong cultural ties with Japan, exporting knowledge of Buddhism, governance, and architecture across the sea. This exchange played a critical role in shaping Japan's early state and cultural landscape. Japan and Korea shared similarities in their paths to statehood, but their approaches were distinct. Japan's state formation was largely driven by powerful clans, leading to a more decentralized early political structure. In contrast, Korea's kingdom sought centralized monarchies with strong military and bureaucratic control. Geography also played a role. Japan's insularity allowed for slower, more internal unification, while Korea's location led to more frequent interactions and conflicts with neighboring states. Both Japan and Korea were heavily influenced by Chinese cultural models, particularly in the adoption of Confucianism and Buddhism. However, each region retained a strong sense of indigenous identity. Japan's Shinto beliefs and clan-based governance coexisted with imported traditions, while Korea blended Chinese models with distinct local customs, producing unique forms of art and architecture. The early state formation and cultural development of ancient Japan and Korea reflect shared influences and distinct paths. Although both civilizations were shaped by external forces, particularly from China, their unique geographies, social structures, and indigenous traditions led them to develop in different ways. These early differences laid the foundation for the distinct identities of modern Japan and Korea.